This is the Brilliantly Branded podcast, a safe place to have a voice and talk about branding and all the reasons that bring a brand to be brilliantly branded. I am your host, Maria Lucia Romero, a woman empowering other women, and I am welcoming you to this journey of learning and inspiration to build awareness around the world of business and the world of brands. This is the Brilliantly Branded podcast. Our guest in this episode is from the world of investing. Have you wondered how a woman with 12 bosses became the go-to for connecting startups with investors? Well, she is a powerful woman, navigating the complexities of the investment world, growing with resilience and determination. She is Teona Khubutia, who haven't waited for a seat at the table. She built it by herself as the manager of LBAN, Luxembourg business angel. One of the topics we talked about was the reality of rejection in the funding journey. She challenges stereotypes and encourages women to view a no, not as a rejection, but as a part of the journey towards growth. Her view about how men and women handle rejection differently says, men handle rejection better. They are used to it in their social roles. It is time for women to own their journey, break barriers, and get comfortable with rejection. So another key subject we approached was to have a special call to explore the role of government initiatives in long-term investments and the potential of partnership between public and private entities to pave the way for future success. She invites women to join the startup ecosystem, recalling a call for women to embrace their entrepreneurial journey. So grab a cup of coffee or tea or almost close to a glue wine to enjoy this episode. So welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. So welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast, where we always invite all those change makers shaping our world today. As well, here you can learn and connect across the key topics related with branding and most importantly with women empowerment. So for women empowerment, I have been creating a community, the Brilliantly Branded community, because it's not just about saying, it's about doing. It's about doing something related with give those tools that we as a women are going to have available to build that place that we feel support, we feel uplift, and we celebrate your wins and support towards your success. So we have this power that you can learn, you can live, and you can feel inspired with all these stories that I am sharing here in the podcast with the guest, and have the honor to hosting a woman who is part of the world of angel investing. She is Teona Khubutia, the manager of LBAN, Luxembourg Business Angel Network Association, and Teona has been instrumental in bringing the gap between investors and startups. So she will explain us more things related with that. She has been in the industry for many years and have this unique approach actually coming from a female point of view that is very important for us in the community of the Brilliantly Branded, know all the details about that. So first, welcome Teona. It's a pleasure to having you here. And before we dive into our discussion, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners, please?
Of course. First of all, thank you for a beautiful introduction. I'm flattered. And thanks for having me here at your Brilliantly Branded podcast. You are definitely doing something very useful for the local female community here in Luxembourg. We really lack this sort of a structure and the support, and you are one of the change makers. And I was really happy when you asked me to join your podcast.
Thank you, Teona. Thank you.
My pleasure, of course. Now, a little bit about myself. I don't want to bore people. I always prefer to talk about the experiences and how we can do things and how we can advance matters. But very briefly, to give you the context, I came to Luxembourg 10 years ago. It is true that I have never set out to end up in this industry, to be honest. It was a little bit of chance, a little bit of combination of my skills, being generalist by profile and studied international relations and economic governance and fields like that. I was also very active with the all types of student communities while I was student, like anything that ISEC, Georgian Youth Parliament, European Youth Parliament, so on. Here in Luxembourg, actually, as a student, I established the IG Europe Luxembourg antenna because there were no communities, and it's so important to have your tribe, either as a student or either as a woman, doesn't matter, as a specific sector. It's always good to have a community with whom you can share your daily experiences and learn from each other, actually. And then somehow I ended up in this sector. It's been already quite a couple of years. I had a conversation actually recently with one of the persons from the ecosystem who is quite new and was asking me, how did you get this job? And then I was actually thinking, how did I get this job actually? And then I realized that I actually didn't get the job. I created it the way we know it now. Because when I got this job, it was not a full-time position. It was 2 part-time roles that I got from LBAN, from the House of Startups. I was running back and forth, pleasing some of my 12 bosses that I had back in the days. So it was quite a challenging role. There was also not really a big structure at LBAN. We didn't know who was who, how many members, what we're doing. We had to build the reputation as an investor as well. So it was all something that we built slowly. And yes, now I found this question quite striking. I was like, how did I get the role? Actually, I didn't get it. I created it over time, slowly, together with the board at LBAN.
Wow, Teona, thank you very much for sharing your experience and how you have had the opportunity to create something by yourself and actually looking the way to really add value to the ecosystem. That is something that I am doing as well in order to bring many topics to the table and be conscious about what is happening and how we can really add value. One of those topics is related with the women founders. Right now, we know, and in general, facing all those challenges in securing these angel investments along all the behaviors that we have as a women with this risk aversion that we normally have in order to go and ask for help, ask for money in this case, and believing that, sometimes, no, we are going to do that everything by ourselves. We don't need help. But I would love you to give us a little bit of light related with this information that actually we need to have related with investments and how are those stages working to apply, and just to give the context about how that works.
Of course. So just a brief context, maybe. Usually business angels specifically do invest in not at a very early stage, meaning when the person is in ideation stage or when they haven't had any market traction, proof of concept, and so on. So in other words, business angels won't invest if you only have an idea and a PowerPoint presentation, right? So they need you to already go through some first steps, processes, probably invest also your own money or friends and family. Now, what you do if you don't have rich friends and family, that's another burden, another topic for another podcast, probably. But yeah, once you have secured these rounds and have already some market traction, that is where the business angels come into the play. They invest usually in seed rounds, which means quite an early stage. Again, seed can be different from country to country. For example, European seeds are much smaller than the US seed rounds in terms of amount. Also, depending on a sector, if you work in a hardware, typically your seed round will be much higher, can be like 5 million, whereas somewhat in ICT solutions, your seed can be 200K, 300K. So the numbers can be different. So don't be carried away by the name only. You have to really look into what you are working on, where is your startup based, and a few other criteria. And they would invest up to Series A rounds, because after that, it becomes too expensive for a business angel to invest in a startup. And then once you do the Series A, then hopefully you have the early stage venture capital, private equity, and IPO preferably.
Wow, yeah, this is a big avenue, and starting knowing that you need to start racing with the 3F. It's very important. As you well said, we can really build another episode talking about this 3F, three first F, because it's probably the most important thing. The proof of concept about your startup and your project is very important to know how is going to be the future of that.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about a little bit, you have been dealing with different genders, I can imagine, uh, in all the processes that you are doing. But one question is related more with these women founders that actually we are lacking of that. I don't know if you have been realizing what have been those challenges that they have been facing during this process. Can you share some of
Yeah,
those with us?
definitely. So I myself am not a female founder, so I cannot speak for their experiences, but I can only speak based on experiences from looking at the scene overall, male founders, female founders, and both of them actually. Challenges are there indeed. The numbers are depressing. You probably know also that we have 6% female founders who manage to fundraise. However, it's always a good idea to look the reality in the eye and also actually admit that we have as little female founders even seeking to fundraise. So statistical probability is low. The game is in general quite tough for men as well, because
Yeah.
we have typically, let's say, 100 startups who onboard on our platform. 10 of them, well, maybe 15 of them get invited to pitch. 3 of them will fundraise. So all the remaining 97 received a no, actually. So it is quite a tough game, and it's 97 men who received a no. So females also do receive a no. The way I would like to approach the topic would be how we can make sure that there are more female founders, that there are more females that are creating companies, that are more of them who are seeking to fundraise through the business angel groups, through the VCs, and so on. And again, this is a complex scenario. We cannot solve it over time. There should be some set of government policies that can boost this. There can be awareness raising. You are doing your share in that. We have some research. EIF got busy recently also doing the gender research, seeing how many female founders, where does this money go, what are they doing, so on. So yes, the game is tough, but now it's the transition. Now we are moving from the traditional male-dominated, all-male environments into some presence of female. So the females who are now battling the battle, actually, they have it hard way, because they are the first how do you say it, first implementers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the thing and actually that now you mentioned EIF, I went yesterday and the day before yesterday to the
Yeah.
event that they was doing. And part of the topic that it was put it outside was the gender equity and how we are not just focusing in give the funds to women because are women, but instead, of course, with all the talents and all the capacities and the impact that we are really able to do in the world. So it's not about gender, it's about how we are prepared for that. And prepared for that means that we need to have the tools to learn many of the things that probably we are not still learning in order to know how to pitch, how to show all these qualities and how to really bring value to the table. That I think is the most important thing. So in order to spread that message and say, hey, women, you can be part of that, we as well need to be prepared for that. We need to learn, we need to really have the tools and access to that
Exactly.
tools, because challenges is probably sometimes a little bit a misconception that it's a challenge because you are a woman, but it's what is actually how those tools are there for you, and not just the tools, the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And at least I think this is part of the processes that we are creating and building and I am trying to achieve through the community as well. And I know that many institutions, like for example yours, are doing something related with that. So during this fundraising process, actually how you can really navigate some of those obstacles. I'm not talking just for women, but in general, how do you think that people that are doing the process of fundraising can really navigate all these obstacles?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, the venture scene is quite a no-prone environment. You get lots of no's. So,
Oh my goodness.
to men or women, you get lots of no's actually. And the way probably to do better in this environment is just to get comfortable with hearing a no, and to take it as not as rejection, but to take it as a tool to self-observe. Why did you get a no? What was it about? Do I need to correct something? What aspect of it? Because we tend to say, okay, this was a no. It means it's over. No, the no goes to a certain element of your project. Correct this element, so maybe you'll get better, or you will improve that element, and you'll get better chances. And then go back, you get no again, and then you have to go back and back and back. So I was actually recently thinking about this, like why there are more men pitching. I don't say more men fundraising, because there are more of them pitching, therefore more of them fundraising. This is natural. But why do we have so few amount of women pitching? And in general, in the VC scene, in the venture capital scene, typically, I have to say that it has to do typical upbringing of female role models. So they teach us to be nice girls. They teach us to wait for a proposal, be nice. Often they even, in some cultures, they even tell you, like, let the men win, be nice, be kind. So these are the codes that socially they put us into women. And then once we are back, once we are out on this job market, we are like, okay, they just told me no, I have to be nice. You cannot be nice in this environment where you really have to knock the door, they close it, you have to knock again, so you have to really resist. And men are typically doing much better with the rejection. Look at their social roles. They go around, right? They get rejected so many times, like in private life as well, right? So
Yeah.
they have the pattern. They are comfortable with rejection. Whereas women are less comfortable with it. Typically, if you graduate, especially in Luxembourg, out of university, you apply for 5 jobs, you get interview for 2, and you get 1 job. So how little rejection rate there is. So a lot of women, because they don't have this remembered pattern of behavior, they would choose the safe areas where they don't get typically rejected. So back to my point, be comfortable with rejection and take a no as a path. Okay, what can I improve, and which door can I knock next?
Wow, Teona, I think that you touch a point that is very, very key, and be comfortable with the rejection is something that you don't go to the university and have a course about how to be comfortable with the rejection. Yeah. This is part of the things that we need to learn. And this is the part of the things that actually will make us feel comfortable and going and raise more funds and actually be more encouraging us to go and build our own ventures and be more female behind of the companies, because that is the point. We are accepting the situation sometimes like, well, no, I mean, rejection is something that I cannot deal with. So if I am going to have a no, I prefer to really avoid that. Mm-hmm. And men is true. I mean, they have a different way to approach that, and a different way actually given by the society, because the society is given to the men. You have the responsibility to provide. You have the responsibility to give many things. So I think at the same time, the pressure on them is high.
Yeah, that's another topic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, other thing is be prepared to bring always good quality. I mean, to avoid these no's, what are the things that probably you have been find in these processes that the people are always like getting a no because the repetitively things? Have you been find these kind of things in the process, or it's more just because of different things that happen when they present it and go for funds?
Yeah, indeed. So a lot of people do get a no. One thing that you can do, I often get asked the question like how they can pitch better. And I have to say, I think the pitching is overstated. The moment of pitch itself, it is such a basic matter. The focus shouldn't be on the wrong thing, and the pitching is to be focused on the wrong thing. Basically, how you should approach it is that you have your whole company that you have to present. You have to tell them why you are doing this out of all the other things that you could be doing. So you tell a story, why and how it happens. Then you have to tell them who are your client bases, what's your region focus, what's your revenue projections, how the investor can make money from investing into your company. So tell all of this information. The investors just need an information. They don't get carried away by our capacity to pitch and be loud and impress. It's not a pitching competition. They are looking to make money actually and make impact, but not to be forgotten, also make money. So tell them how they can make this impact and how can they have good return on their investment by investing in you. So that's what they will be looking for. I've seen also some pitches when the founder is not able to answer questions. So this should be like impossible scenario. This is such a small company. Typically, you have like 2 people working, maybe none of them on payroll, maybe yes, but it is very small company. You should know everything about it. You should know this department, and so on. It's not a multi-million euro company yet, right? So you should have the answers. From my perspective and from my understanding, the mistake is not knowing the answer on the question that they're asking you from about your companies, and you are redirecting it and maybe saying, look, it's not my expertise. I'll have to ask my CFO and so on. In a small startup, CFO shouldn't have much more information than you do. So back to my point, be well prepared, know your startup inside out, and just tell the story. Talk to them and tell them why.
Yeah, so that means that the investor are investing more in the team, in you, that actually in your idea. This is something that normally can happen.
Definitely. Actually, it has happened and it can happen because I saw some research recently, and there was a comparison from 3 different stages of investors. First of them was the business angel, then you have a venture capital, and then you have private equity. At the first stage, the crucial is the team because it's so small, it's so early, and it's doing the first proof of concept basically. So the team is really crucial. If the team is able to do all these things. For later stages, is more profitability, scalable. So versus scalability, profitability for the respectively for venture capital and the private equity firms. But yeah, in our level, at the business angel level, we see often that if the team is very strong, business angels have trust, and this is also a stage where you can very easily pivot your idea, even if they agree and sign up on a certain project of yours. In doing, if they see, and if you also as a founder yourself see that you can change it, it can happen very painlessly in such a small company actually.
Yeah, I can imagine. And another thing that I have been heard actually is the fact that it's not very recommendable to be a solopreneur in order to have like only one person in the team. How true is that for the investors?
Very true. It is very true because once again, the game is so tough. Being a founder can happen so many things in life, in company, on the general economy. and so on. So you need a backup. So if you are solo, it's going to be very difficult, and it's very high risk for an investor.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And well, one thing is the preparation about all the company, all the way that how they are going to generate revenue and all these kind of things. But another very important is, let's say, the visuals and the aesthetic and the concept behind the brand. As you well know, the Brilliantly Branded podcast is focuses in branding.
Yeah.
So part of the thing that I am curious to know is how actually in the level of angel investors, those investors make decisions based on how that brand looks, for example. There is something that happened or not?
As for a person, it's quite important to have a branding to assure really strong foot on the ecosystem. And it's good to have, definitely. However, from a business angel perspective, again, this is such an early stage. So many things happen before they succeed. So many times rebranding, so many times pivoting, and so on. So as long as you do present yourself and they see the potential in you that you can represent yourself in another way when the economic situation changes or when you have to pivot, then this should be fine as well.
Yeah, correct. It's more important the concept behind actually and how they will be able to really listen into the market. That is part of will make those brands in the future, in near future.
But of course, you are also judged based on your ability to present what you believe right now. So anything that you present as of now should be presentable. They will not invest in some technical sides that are not really neat and clean, obviously. However, this doesn't mean that it should be written on stone. It can still change. The brand can change over time, but every given time, whatever you're presenting, it should look presentable and well branded.
Yeah. And in terms of pitching, because I know that you are doing different events to let all those future people that wanted to go and raise funds and go into to you, you are making them pitch. So what are those things during the pitch process or pitch presentations that are really effective, like kind of strategies that they can use in order to really deliver the message that you want to listen to?
Definitely, for me, and from what I observed in investor behavior, it's the story. So making sure you tell your why, and then making sure that you cover all business aspects of your project, meaning competitor market, your product, your competitive advantage, the target audience, the revenue projections, returns on investment, plans to expand, exit strategy, so on. So me, I'm really strong believer in content. I don't buy the show, I buy the content. Definitely. So for me, it's good to be to articulate. Obviously, this would be just a means of delivering your message. It's good to be able to articulate. You shouldn't mind too much if you're not fluent in a language. We live in a country where English is the fourth language for most of us, or even more. So you shouldn't be too self-conscious regarding that one either, because I've seen some non-native speakers like, I couldn't really pitch it well. Never mind. This is not a language competition. This is not also some display competition. For me, it's a content competition and the profitability competition.
I love that. I love that because that make me feel included in many ways, because I have heard many people that say, you know, I don't have a perfect English. I should not be pitching because, you know, but if you have a good idea and you have a business behind now, very, very, something that is going to generate impact, well, jump to the water and go and ask him for and pitch and do the things is the most important things. And another thing, Teona, that you and I have been realizing during the last days is actually I'm saying something like, we have an elephant in the room. That is actually a pink elephant in the room because it's the lack of female founders around this ecosystem. So actually bringing this topic back, would you have some advice for all these women that wanted to inspire to go for be a female founders specifically?
Actually, I have a thought regarding what we can do. As I mentioned, we shouldn't address the tail of the issue. We should address the core of the issue. So the statistics are scary, but we cannot invest in female founders if I have only 3 female pitching in a year. I cannot change statistics like that. What we can change is going back to the core and changing the policies and how we can encourage more females to create startups or their own companies and their own ventures. And government policies could work on that one. If we had, just for an example, we have some fintech investors, right? We have business angel groups or VCs who only invest in fintech. Then we have incubators that only host fintech incubators, right? So a founder knows that if I choose a fintech project, I will be well guided through the incubator, and then I'll have fundraising opportunities through business angel group, through this VC, and so on, so on. So favoring a specific sector, it works. It's proven, and we have lots of examples of that. So why don't we have a fund or public-private partnership or a government one that invests in female founders? This would encourage a lot of capable women to go in through this path, knowing that at the end of this path, there is a support, there is a fundraising opportunity. So I will not have all my years that I worked on building something wasted. Eventually it will be fulfilled.
Yeah, that is a very good idea, a very good initiative. And I saw yesterday, and I haven't touched that world very close as I touched yesterday in the event of the EIF. And actually, I found that is many funds just focuses in women and supporting women. And those initiatives, I haven't seen, I think it is 1 or 2 funds here in Luxembourg already starting to do that, focuses in women. But more important than that, actually, is how you deliver the tools for us as a women to feeling empowered, actually, in order to say, I'm going for it. I'm going to create a startup. I'm going to create a company, because that is the point. I'm talking about personal experiences, yeah. But having the support, and not necessarily between female, but actually support from my partner in crime, is something like, go for it. You can do that. I trust you. I believe in you. This is very important. And this is the empowerment that we need, and learning, of course, and having the opportunities. But by the way, I don't know if by any chance you know some initiatives right now that the government have been, or the private sector have been delivering right now related with that. Do you know some of those or not?
Honestly, I might be wrong because I'm not really on top of it, but I don't know of it in Luxembourg. However, being part of the European Business Angel network and so on, I get the opportunity to hear what other countries are doing and what type of business angel groups they have. And it is starting more and more, and few countries have either business angel groups that are investing in only in female founders, or some early stage VCs that are, again, investing in female founders or co-founders, which would also work. So this would definitely attract more women into the scene. Men would also be interested to have women into their team, as it also addresses the female co-founders. But it might not be excessively scalable at an early stage. And this is why I'm saying that some government initiatives can work, because governments are usually the ones who should be investing in a long term, not for an immediate profit. And some partnerships between public and private bodies could definitely create some seeds that we could have some results afterwards.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, this is a voice, so your voice is going to be heard. And we are asking to the government, please help us, give us that support, because it's true. It's especially what is happening to me right now, building the community. I'm saying to all the people, I cannot do that alone. I need your support. Come, support me. Give us your opinion. Be part of this. It's a voice that we are putting outside.
Definitely.
So I'm so happy to really know that, I am not alone on that. You are not alone on that. You can count with this. We can count with the community. We can count with the podcast. If you have more guests that wanted to come and talk about that, because I think that we need to really start to do something different.
Yeah.
And something different is generate that conscience about how, as you will say, and just to wrap up, having the conscience about how to receive the no as the rejection, managing the rejections, and learning how to build yourself in the way that you are going to be strong and delivering the best of yourself, because it's nothing more empowering than a woman empowering other women. And let's go for it. This is what I'm doing. So, well, Teona, thank you very much for your time, the key value things that you have been just delivering to us. I don't know if you want to add something else.
I don't recall, but I think we've covered a good part of this early stage investment scene for women, right?
Yeah, where the people can contact you, or you have an event soon, or maybe some call in the institution that you wanted to invite people.
Definitely, we are always open at LBAN. We are here, one of the major actors in the ecosystem, so we are very open to partnerships with the other parties, including business angels, that we are always looking for business angels, investors, especially the female ones that we are lately really trying to push hard, that attract more and more women into our network. So if you're a woman interested in the startup ecosystem, feel free to join us, be part of the growth of a startup. People sometimes are kind of not trying it because they think they have to be ultra rich to get started with this area. This is not the case. The ticket sizes can be quite small, and it gives quite a rewarding experience to be part of creating something new as a startup. And as for female founders, please apply for pitching so we can actually invite you to pitch, and then we can actually maybe invest in you as well.
Wow, fantastic, Teona. Thank you very much. I think that we can have some other conversations and maybe create an event or something inviting women to pitch. Yeah. And if I can really help you to spread that voice, I'm more than welcome. I will love to do that and really to add value to the ecosystem.
Thank you, Marita.
Thank you very much, Teona. Thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you. We hope you have been inspired by this content and join us for future episodes of the Brilliantly Branded podcast. We will continue exploring the power of branding and the stories behind successful brands. And remember, if you know a woman who has built a successful brand with a unique approach and a story to share, please refer them to our podcast. We would love to learn from their experiences and share their story with our listeners. Stay tuned for more episodes of Brilliantly Branded, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel for more branding insights and women empowerment. Until the next episode, ciao ciao.